Hi, this is Adam Hawker, and I want to thank you for listening to my 4-clip audio portfolio. I will present to you 2 clips from a radio program I co-produced in 2012 and 2 clips from a podcast I've hosted and produced here at Penn State in 2015 and 2016. First are clips from the show Talking Rocks, which I co-produced in 2012 for WHYF AM 720 in Sharmanstown, Pennsylvania. The program was an outreach collaboration between WHYF and Trinity High School, located in Camp Hill, PA, where I was a teacher. The title of the show was a play on our mascot, the Shamrock, as well as a biblical reference, which fit the Catholic nature of the school and the station. In this clip, I am interviewing a small group of students about school culture and class chemistry.
All right, welcome back to WHYF AM 720. This is Talking Rocks, the news and views of Trinity High School. We're talking today about social climate and social pressures that teens face in the high school situation. So, what are your impressions of the social climate here at Trinity? You know, what are some things that you noticed? Maddie, why don't you start us off?
Well, the social climate here, I mean, typically everyone, at least at the start of things, like, everyone gets along well. Like, I mean, some people see our school as like a family. I don't know if it's that close, but I think...
I think that it is, whether or not you see it or not. I definitely
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, but...
Well, talk to me about, like, cliques and things like that. Do you see cliques here at the school?
There definitely are some cliques, but I would say that there's not that many cliques for just, like we are a small school, but I see some cliques, like, here and there, but, like, I try and hang out with everybody and just try and just be nice to everyone, just, like, do that, but, like, there's some cliques that, like, you're just like, oh, there's those people, always hang out with those people, and those, like, the jocks, like, but you don't, but, like, some football players, like, they hang out with, like, other lacrosse players, or, like, people in, like, the musical or something, like, there's no, like, defined cliques, I would say, but there are.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. Like, when we first got here freshman year, you know, everyone was getting to know everyone, and there weren't as many cliques. Sophomore year and junior year, I think it definitely got a little more cliquier. Like, people were starting to find out, like, well, not finding out who their friends are, but, like, people were just getting kind of, like, cliquier. But I noticed senior year that, I don't know if it's because everyone's realizing it's their last year with everyone here, but I feel people, like, are becoming friends with other quote-unquote cliques. Like, people are expanding their boxes and talking to other people. And
I agree 100%.
Yeah, it really shows the family of Trinity High School.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree that does seem to happen as you come in as a freshman, you're coming from different feudal schools, you're getting, you know, people you've never seen before, and it's like that. Mm-hmm. I can definitely see where sophomore and junior year would be, as you put it, cliquier. I don't know how you spell that, cliquier.
Yeah, I would say sophomore and junior year.
Yeah, but they really start to get those social circles defined. But I think it's great that senior year you're all blending together. That's really great.
Definitely.
You know, we only have a little bit left, but talk to me about class chemistry. Do you like? How would you define how your class behaves, just the senior class?
No different from any other senior class, but, like, I don't really like, everyone thinks that, like, we're all a bunch of rich kids, and, like, yes, there are a bunch of rich kids here, but there are some kids that are just, like, moderate, and, like, they're just normal kids. We're just some normal Catholic school kids.
Next, I want to play for you a different segment from that same radio show entitled Rockline's Campus News. I did these segments with my co-producer on the project and fellow faculty member, and these segments were short little school news briefs. What I like about this clip is that it highlights some of the banter that many radio segments have, as well as the efficient way of getting through the news and announcements.
Hi, I'm Steve Cusman.
And I'm Adam Hawker.
And this is Rockline's Campus News. Well, this past week was full of exciting events. Of particular note was the senior class fundraiser at Five Guys Burgers and Fries on the Carlisle Pike in Mechanicsburg. Adam, do you have any information about that?
I do. Turnout was huge. We had lines all the way out the door. Supporters from our feeder schools and supporting parishes were there. Students like Olivia Berrigan, Kate Maffey, and Austin Weaver, just to name a few, lent their musical talents to the event. So we had some nice musical entertainment. There were games, there were activities for our future Shamrocks to play along with. We had balloons for the kids, both young and old. There were representatives there from the restaurant who said that they had never seen a busier 4 hours, and the totals were still being tallied 2 days after the event. It was very, very successful.
I know some local businesses showed up for dinner for their late-night workers.
Oh, yeah? That's great.
Well, as you know, this week is home to the winter musical. This year, it's the musical Jesus Christ Superstar. I believe the show starts at 7:30. What days?
It's on February 9, 10, and the 11th. Tickets are available at the door. Adults are $10, and students and seniors pay only $5. Trinity students get one free ticket with their student ID.
But that's not the whole story. I understand you guys have been working pretty hard all week, all month.
We have been working very, very hard. It is definitely crunch time right now. The music department has been working tirelessly to, prepping the scores, getting the pit music ready, and rehearsing. There's been a significant amount of technology. We've got projections. We've got a lot of microphones going. We've got a lot of really nice light cues. It's going to be really, really good. We're putting in a lot of long hours, but I got to tell you, when curtain goes up, it's going to be a very, very good show.
Okay, and that's what's going on at Trinity High School this week. For Adam Hocker, I'm Steve Cusman, and this has been Rocklines Campus News.
I want to switch gears for the next 2 clips and play sections from the podcast I hosted and produced here on campus back in 2015 and 2016. The podcast was an extension of the American Journal of Education's student board, the AJE Forum. The podcast was meant to highlight educational news as well as explore particular topics in K-12 education and higher education. This clip is a snippet of the panel discussion that traditionally opened the show. From Penn State University in beautiful Happy Valley, this is AJE 301. I'm your host, Adam Hawker, and today we're going to talk about the enormous pressure schools are under to maintain the safety and the well-being of the students while they're on school grounds. Schools often turn to zero-tolerance policies in order to ensure a uniform and tough stance on issues such as drug and alcohol use and school safety. But there are cases where the policies themselves can be more harmful than the things they're trying to protect students from. Here to talk about some of those cases are AJE Forum's Raquel Muniz and Jeremy Anderson. Raquel, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, so I want to start off first with a case outside of Houston, Texas, where a 16-year-old girl was late to class. She was getting a tardy slip from the office like she's supposed to. She was observed by an assistant principal that the student did not know, and the assistant principal thought that she was intoxicated. So he had a field sobriety test conducted by the school nurse. The article doesn't say what the sobriety test yielded, but it does say that there was many accusations about the student being intoxicated. At this point, then the mother shows up, pulls the kid out, takes her to ProQuest Diagnostic. I'm guessing a national chain. I've been to ProQuest. I don't know if you guys have seen them around. Yeah. They did an extensive drug test. The student came up clean for marijuana, cocaine, barbiturates, opiates, amphetamines, or alcohol. I mean, she came up squeaky clean, and then the school rejected it. They just rejected the paperwork and went ahead and suspended the school suspended the daughter for 30 days in alternative schooling. I don't know what that means from the article, but we can all kind of come up with our own conclusions what that is, and left it at that. So what are your reactions to this particular case? Jeremy, why don't you start?
Yeah, so when I'm reading this case, this was really just a question of well-written policy to me, or in this case, not well-written policy. Mm-hmm. So obviously they were trying to impose a policy that says, any situation where a student is deemed intoxicated, they will go through the disciplinary system in the exact same way. But at some point, to me, we're dealing with adults and we're dealing with children here. A sense of common sense has to come in. So when the parents got the test done at Quest Diagnostics, and I'm pretty familiar with them. I've worked retail a lot in my life, and in every single job I've ever gone to, I had to take a drug test.
Same here.
So for me, if a national chain like a Target or Best Buy or an Apple can take these, I don't understand the school's reluctance to say, all right, in this case, we made a mistake. And I think that shows more leadership than, sticking to their guns.
Sure. Raquel?
Well, that's what it sounds like. The school doesn't want to be seen as making a mistake and siding with an outside source instead of the school nurse, who is part of the system. And then the one thing that struck me was kind of the proportionality of punishment to what actually happened. Mm-hmm. So you have a school principal, or assistant principal, who doesn't really know the student and just kind of on a hunch, I suppose, is just labeling the student as intoxicated. So you don't know the student, you don't really know if that's the way the student normally acts or so, and just based on that, they just go on this tangent. So I don't know, it just seems too severe for the kind of issue that happened here.
My final clip is from later in that same podcast, where I interviewed a faculty member at the time about zero-tolerance policies. What's important about this clip is the extensive amount of editing that was involved. The faculty member being interviewed said seemingly every 4 seconds, and required a lot of work to smoothen out the speech. While, admittedly, some of the cuts are a little rough, I'm still pretty proud of how this clip sounds. I want to turn now to Dr. John Roberts, who is a professor of education theory and policy and educational leadership here at Penn State. Dr. Roberts was a school principal in Washington, D.C. for 4 years and has been on the other side of the desk, if you will, and has kind of lived these scenarios. So, Dr. Roberts, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So give us some perspective on zero-tolerance policies that a lot of people wouldn't normally see.
Sure. I think each of these examples, taken as a whole, feel like a severe overreach by the school administrators. But I have to say that I don't think we've always been good about giving administrators, school districts, superintendents, better discipline models to implement. And if we have, I'm not sure we've always done a good job of sort of informing them and training folks in schools about those things. I think educators are in a tough spot. They're trying to keep teachers and students safe and free from harm at a time when there are serious questions about how we protect schools and other public buildings. In my mind, however, I draw a line between the potential for things like gun violence and these events that we've looked at in this show. For example, I worry about how quickly police officers have been involved in disciplinary situations with children, particularly young children and even some high school children. I think they're sometimes involved too quickly. I think that comes from a tradition of zero-tolerance policies that had really heavy hands on any kind of drug or physical altercation. As a former school leader, I think I was too quick to suspend students for minor offenses sometimes, rather than look for other options or models.
Thank you for listening to my audio portfolio. I hope to hear from you very soon.